one hunter. This hunter's out in Africa. Big shadow here. Oh my. Wow. Dude. Hey, what is going on, everybody? Felix here, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to PvP as a Frost Mage in patch 9.0. This is the last guide of the how-to quick start mage spec in PvP. And without further ado, just go ahead and get right into it. First off, I want to go over our new abilities, lost abilities, and changes that we have since BFA. We now have access to Fire Blast, Arcane Explosion, and Mirror Image, and Alter Time. We do not have Temporal Shield anymore. A little unfortunate there, but you can't really do too much about that one. We have 3 seconds longer on Icy Veins, and we also have 30 seconds off Cold Snap. So those are a bit shorter there. Will help a little bit with survivability, not too much though. And yeah, we'll just get right into our talents here. Alright, so there are a lot of different ways to play Frost. You can either play with the pet, or you can choose to not play with the pet. It really depends on what you want to do. Typically, here, you're looking at either playing Lonely Winter or Ice Nova. Depending on if you want to play with the pet, you have Ice Nova for another route, and then you also have your pet route too, which you can shatter with your passive. Okay, so it really depends. If you're fighting a melee cleave or something that's going to be on you and you're trying to kite, I really recommend playing with a pet. If you're looking for, maybe it's a caster cleave that you're fighting, maybe Shadow Play or something, Aflock, Shadow Priest, whatever, I recommend playing Lonely Winter. Next up, Shimmer is probably Biss here. I think Glacial Insulation is okay, not the greatest. Ice Flow is pretty weak too. So yeah, typically we're running Shimmer here, unless you're trying to play Blink Stun. Next up, Incanter's Flow for sure. Casting Rune of Power feels really clunky, and it's not that great. They did make the new change where if you cast Icy Veins, it'll automatically drop one, but with Veins being a 3-minute cooldown, it really isn't that great. So typically I recommend playing Incanter's Flow. Next up, for our level 35, we're looking at Frozen Touch typically. Chain Reaction feels pretty weak, and 20% more often, Fingers of Frost and Brain Freeze is not bad at all. So yeah, I think Frozen Touch is typically our best one. You could potentially run Ebon Bolt, but I'm not a huge fan of that one, personally. But you could potentially run it, depending. For level 40 here, Ring of Frost is probably the best. You have another end-cap DR if you can't get a Sheep off. Nova or the Ice Ward could be okay. Like I said earlier, if you're fighting a melee cleave and you're trying to get away and kite, that one could be okay. Frigid Winds is also kind of mediocre. It really depends on if you're trying to kite or not. Next up, for 45, you want to play Comet Storm. All these can break CC. You got to be a little careful here with Splitting Ice if you're looking to play it. It does break CC, so does Comet Storm, but you can choose when to call in Comet Storm. If you want to cast an Ice Lance or an Icicle, and it goes to another target, then it breaks, so you got to be very careful on that one. So typically I just roll with Comet Storm. 30-second cooldown, relatively decent damage for one global. For level 50, Glacial Spike is kind of a meme. Thermal Void is not bad, but typically with the meta we're in, there's a lot of teams that have at least one purge. So Icy Veins will likely be purged off before you get value from it. So that's why we're looking at Ray of Frost. You don't really have access to that Icy Veins too much, typically. If you're fighting a non-purge team and you want to play this, go ahead. Just be very careful if you're trying to play something with a purge team. You're likely not going to get a lot of value from it. Let's go ahead and look at our PvP taunts here. Deep Shatter, obviously. Frostbolt deals 150% increased damage to anybody frozen. So, you can go for the Nova, the Root, whatever, into the Frostbolt. Does a lot of damage right there. Deep Shatter, typically always taken. Concentrated Coolness, also always taken. 10% increased damage. And you can drop it wherever you want, instead of it going in a straight line. Makes it a lot nicer to put down. Does more damage. Overall, great. For your third one, it kind of depends on what you're playing. If you're playing into something maybe like a rogue and you want to play Ice Form, this could be potentially really good. Not only do you get increased damage on your Frostbolt, but you can also become immune to stuns. So you could potentially like Ice Form a Kidney or a Cheap Shot. This could be really, really valuable depending. And then you kind of have these ones that are depending on what situation. Dampen Magic for less dot. Klepto if you need to purge something immediately. Netherwind if you're trying to not get crit, and Prismatic if you're trying to take a lot less damage, magic. So those are our talents for Mage, Frost Mage PvP here. Go ahead and start rolling into our gear and Legendaries. We're looking at Haste Verse yet again for every spec of Mage. Haste and Verse is what you want. You want to try to get as much haste to make everything smoother. You can get those shapes out quicker. You can get those frost bullets out quicker. Everything about haste is really good, and everything about verse is really, really good for us. You not only do you get increased damage, but you're getting more healing too. So overall, haste and verse is pretty good, and then crit next, and then mastery last. We don't really care about mastery at all. If you need to get a little crit on a piece of your gear, go ahead and get crit. But other than that, that is your stat priority right there. And we'll go ahead and hop into Legendaries now. I think for Frost Legendaries, we are looking at 3 crucial ones. We have Triune Ward, which I think is our best Legendary. Purge Protection, and then it also just gives you that gigantic shield. So overall, Triune Ward I think is really, really good. Freezing Winds is also a pretty good offensive one if you're looking to play that. Every time you have Orb active, you get Fingers of Frost every 3 seconds, so not too shabby. You can get a lot of damage off with Fingers of Frost, so I think Freezing Winds is pretty good. I also think Grizzly Icicle's not too terrible either. Unfortunately, it does break on teammate damage. So you have to be really, really careful here. If you're looking to go for a Nova and like some Shattered Frost Bolts, if your teammate breaks the Nova, you're not going to be getting value from this one. So all 3 of those, I think, your top ones. Try to aim for one of those. Obviously, defensive, Triune. Most offensive would probably be Freezing Winds. All right, next we'll talk about Enchants. For the weapon enchant, we're going to be running Sinful Revelation. This is the 6% increased damage when it procs to a target. It's really good. For your ranks, you can either run the Haste or Versatility, depending on which one you want. They're kind of up to preference. You could run of each, 2 of Verse, 2 of Haste. It really depends on which one you want to pick. So that one can go really either way. Eternal Insight for your chest piece, going to give you the big stats. And then you have Eternal Intellect. Oh, sorry, no, it's Eternal Insight for your wrist piece, and then you have Eternal Intellect for your chest piece. And then finally, you got Soul Vitality on your cloak. And all right, with that, we'll go ahead and talk about our Covenant, our Conduits, and how I rank those. So in my opinion, for Frost, I think the best one by far is Venthyr. Not only are you getting a lot of value from your Soulbind Naja, you're also getting 2 spells on Shadow, so you're able to juke kicks with those, or you're able to hard cast a Shadow and then be able to cast Frost. So right there, you're already getting value of things not being on the Frost school. Okay, and then with Naja here, you're able to actually, on the first one, you're able to get a mini Bloodlust here. We get 20% for 10 seconds during combat as soon as it stacks. I think that is really, really good. Very nice. Feels very fluid. And then you also have this Agent of Chaos, which makes your Door of Shadows do a Disorient. This is halved in PvP, but you can still pretty much go Door of Shadows into a Sheep, which I think is really, really good because Frost Mage does not have that DB Sheep that a Fire Mage does. So they're kind of able to cover for themselves there. Later down the line, we got Familiar Predicaments, which is huge for Frost. The duration of incoming interrupts, Snare, and Root are all reduced by 25. The big one here is Interrupt. Having 25% off any kick that you take is gigantic. So, in my opinion, Venthyr is the best, followed by Night Fae. Night Fae is really good for kiting. You can get your cooldowns back. Kieran is not bad too, but I just don't think those two are the greatest compared to Venthyr for Frost. So, that is what I think. Venthyr for Frost. And then for our Conduits, we're looking at Ice Bite, Unrelenting Cold, and Diverted Energy. Diverted Energy gives you that 25 or whatever number that is. You get a heal from the shield that you create. And then you have Ice Bite, which increases your Frostbolt damage. And then you also, not Frostbolt, Ice Lance damage. And then Unrelenting Cold, which gives you a base damage increase to your Frozen Orb. So overall, those are what you got right there. That's pretty much all we have for this guide. Thank you guys all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I stream on Twitch. If you guys have any questions, make sure to come drop by. And thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.